Welcome back and thank you for staying with us. The U.S. Embassy in South Africa has issued a travel advisory for Americans wishing to visit South Africa. They're recommending that they avoid Numbi Gate at Kruger National Park. This, of course, follows the shocking murder of a German tourist. How will this impact South Africa's image? Well, I spoke to brand reputation expert Solly Moeng earlier. I first started by asking for his take on the U.S. warning its citizens against using that Numbi Gate.
Well, it's reactive, really. Look, I've been in tourism marketing for South Africa, in Canada, in the USA. I've been involved in the tourism sector for a number of years. And South Africa has always had this thing hanging over its head as an unsafe place. It's not new. For many years, it's been like that. And of course, many people have come because they are brave people, but I'm worried about the many people who've cancelled trips to South Africa or who will never come to South Africa. Even here where I am now, I know people who've heard from others that South Africa is an amazing country, because it is, but they will never go there because they don't want to go back home in body bags. So South Africa needs to do a bigger job of dealing with crime proactively, ensuring that we don't jump around appearing in front of TV screens only when people have been killed. Because especially what the minister said last week about the minister Sisulu, who was trying to push the idea that only 3 people were killed since 1994. You know, the family of the victim doesn't care how many people were killed. Their father, their brother, their mother, their loved one was killed. And that is a big deal for them.
And I mean, especially looking at the fact that, you know, those that journalists have been speaking to who own businesses or run schools, they have said that they've been complaining about, you know, the attempts on people's lives in that exact area. So having done nothing, and now suddenly, you know, there's all this proactiveness or seemingly proactive with all these plans to warn the tourists.
It's not good. Look, South Africa also needs to, we know that average South Africans face criminality all the time in their homes, in the streets, in public places. We need to create South Africa as a better, safer place for South Africans first, because South Africans are the ones who are going to be the ambassadors of South Africa, not just the ones who are living in South Africa. People living across the world in the diaspora are still linked to their relatives, their friends, their loved ones, their fathers, mothers in South Africa. They hear the news, they follow news online about what's events, developments in South Africa. So if they don't get the impression that it is a safe country, they're not going to be the first ones to encourage their friends overseas to say, go and visit my country. I was in South Africa this year in April, and I was hijacked with knives and guns. They took my bike. I was out cycling. I was so scared, you have no idea. So how do I come back to Switzerland to say to my friend, oh, no, go back. It's actually of course it's a cool place. It's a beautiful place. But but the safety thing is serious. So we have to work on it proactively all the time, arrest people who are making it hard for South Africans to walk around in their own communities, make South Africans feel that there is something happening to ensure this thing goes away.
And so this plan by the ministry, this alleged plan by the ministry to have this video, do you think it's a good idea?
Yeah, it's a good idea. Look, it's better to say to people, to give people as much information as possible about safety. There's no doubt about it. I mean, you don't want to arrive in a country and something stupid happens to you, and after that, you realize there had not been information to say, but you can't walk in there, you can't do this, you can't just get into any taxi. I mean, just at the airport in Johannesburg or Tambo, there are very dodgy taxi people. As soon as you come out there, they offer you a lift. A lot of sad things have happened to a lot of people in the past. So there's got to be controls there as to who can offer public transportation from the airport to people who just arrived in South Africa. So yes, the government is doing the right thing. They do more. They should both react to stuff that has happened, but also ensure that the same stuff doesn't happen again, whether it's at Numbi Gate, in Kruger Park, in KZN, in Eastern Cape, in Cape Town, anywhere in South Africa. We have to change the perception, but the perception right now is that South Africa is an unsafe place. We have to change that. South Africa can still be the #1 tourism destination in Africa. It's not. It doesn't even figure in the global top 20 destinations. And we have everything, really, everything that it takes to be the most amazing, attractive destination. But we can't be where we are perceived as an unsafe place to be.
And this is going to be quite a huge blow, isn't it? Looking at the fact that we're getting into, you know, a tourist season, people are going to be traveling for the festive season, and now this.
Yeah, and also because you see, politicians in South Africa needs to get the chips off their shoulders. They need to work with the industry. There are amazing people in South Africa of all races who have been involved in the tourism industry for years, who know how it works. People, I have huge respect for Chifiwe Chivengo of the South African of the Business Tourism Council of South Africa. I've known this young man when he was an intern in Los Angeles when I was with South African tourism. I look at how far he's come, and I know that he's where there's action. He doesn't just talk nonsense. He should be the kind of person we have as minister, possibly, of tourism in South Africa. Industry and government have to work together. Forget political ideologies, put them aside. Politicians don't know anything about tourism. Work with the industry, with SANSA, with the Tourism Business Council of South Africa and others to make South African tourism safer for for domestic travel, because that's also important, and for foreigners who want to visit South Africa.
Mm-hmm. And when you say that we don't even make it to the top 10 around the world of one of the best destinations, or I think you said top 20, is it necessarily because of our country, or is it because of the fact that we are deemed unsafe? It's not that people don't think that they'll find everything they need here.
Yeah.
It's all because the country is deemed unsafe. Your Ani Duwani, for instance, those kind of incidents. Is that why?
Look, I've written an article. It's a piece that it'll only get published this coming weekend on tourism safety. So no African destination features in the top 20, first of all. Secondly, South Africa is number 3 after Egypt and I think Tunisia. In terms of tourism arrivals in South Africa, in Africa rather. And because I've worked in tourism, I know South Africa and I've traveled around the world. South Africa is an amazing destination. I have not met anyone who's visited South Africa and come back without an incident, not wanting to return to South Africa. Not a single person. I've known also diplomats, and I'm saying in my article, who came to South Africa on a 3-year term. After that, they said, I'm not going back. I know I kid you not, I know French diplomats who got divorced in South Africa. So one partner said, I'm not going back to France, I'm staying here. They've stayed in France. If they listen to this interview, they know. I'm not talking about 1, 2, 3 people, okay? Yeah. South Africa is an amazing place. We have the product and the diversity of our product. I think we should return to the slogan, a world in one country. Don't politicize it. We are a world. You travel by car from Limpopo, Mpumalanga, down KZN, or even if you cross across, it's amazing. It's an amazing. So we have the product. The problem, of course, some people will not come because we are considered a long-haul destination, and if you don't have a lot of holidays per annum, for instance, then you don't want to spend all of the time in one trip. Because if you're coming from North America, or especially North America, it's 2 days travel, 1 day to 1 day back, and you only have 3 days. If you're fine, so there will always be those restrictions. We're not going to have everybody to Africa or to South Africa. Not everybody is a fan of the sort of what we have. But I think that there are many, many more people who are fans, who are potential fans of what we have to offer, who are not coming, who choose to go elsewhere because of safety. Of course, for some people, there could also be cost issues. But we have to, a lot of work has been done to determine who are the people who are potential to travelers to South Africa, who have the money. And the exchange rate is favorable to a lot of people, whether you're coming from the UK, from Europe, from elsewhere. I am interested in right now. It's almost 18 rands to a franc. If you come here with francs in South Africa, you live like a king. You know what I'm saying? So the cost for once you get to South Africa, it's not an issue.
Yeah.
To have an amazing food is not expensive in restaurants if you're coming from, especially from hard currencies destinations or source markets, and the only thing is safety. Really, South Africa is a very developed country. We know that. Okay, now the infrastructure is being damaged, but it's a kind of country where you don't need to be guided all the time. If there were no safety issues, you could just arrive, rent a car, get a map, your own GPS. You can just travel this amazing country on your own. But then I can't even encourage my friends to do that because I'm not sure. I fear they might stop somewhere for directions, and someone might say, oops, there's some people over there. And I would never live with it if any of my friends came to South Africa on my recommendation and got killed or hurt or raped or that sort of thing. You see, that's the thing. We need to move to a point where we know we are not only an amazing country in terms of the offering, the rich, diverse offering of South Africa, but in terms of safety. People want to be safe. People want to come back, especially, I spoke about the time that people have. You want people who have money and who have time to come to South Africa, all right? And most people who have money and time are they've worked all their lives. They're either retired or semi-retired. It's not students who, it's generally people who have the money and the time. And those people elderly, they have children, maybe even grandchildren. They really do not want to come to South Africa to be killed or to be raped. They don't. So allow them. People need to understand that tourism contributes massively to the economy of South Africa, and it can contribute a lot more. It creates jobs. The ramifications are huge for people who supply transport services, catering services, guiding services, and all that. But the people who hurt tourism don't see the bigger contribution of this industry to South Africa. Even if it's domestic tourism, I insist, domestic tourism contributes in its own way. Global tourism exists in its own way, especially from foreign countries where people spend a lot of money in game reserves. Not all Africans coming to South Africa want to go to Malamala and Sabi. You want people to go there and spend big bucks. And you want those facilities to pay taxes, and you want those taxes not to be stolen by politicians. You see, it's all connected. Okay, so